not just a black thing. This is for all the people who have been imprisoned wrongfully, regardless of race, color, or creed. Because I met them in there.
Okay, Bill Cosby, who victimized many, playing the victim now, that's quite rich. After admitting to giving women quaaludes for the purpose of having sex with them, the disgraced, infamous Me Too man walked out of prison a free man this week after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court tossed his sexual assault conviction. Now, in 2018, he was sentenced to 3 to 10 years for drugging and sexually assaulting a Temple University employee. Cosby insisted it was consensual, but the Pennsylvania justices ruled his right to due process was violated after testimony he gave in a previous case was used to prosecute him in subsequent charges. Now, Cosby might be flashing victory signs, but it's not a victory for the 50-plus women who are courageous enough to speak up. And while some in the black community are congratulating him, what's wrong with you guys? They should remember how eager he was to criticize them in the past. Joining me now to discuss, Associate Professor of Political Science at Fordham University, Christina Greer. We finally got her on the show. She's also author of Black Ethnics, and MSNBC political contributor, you may have heard of him before, Dr. Jason Johnson, finally on set with me. All right, you guys, this is quite a strange case to me. So, Christina, you're disadvantaged not being on the set here. I'll start with you. What is up with people congratulating Bill Cosby for being free? He literally admitted to giving women quaaludes for the purposes of having sex with him. So this influx of support has me a bit baffled. What's your take?
Well, he's free because of a technicality. He's not free because he's innocent. And I think this is where we're starting to see class trump race in particular instances. And now Bill Cosby wants to say, I'm just like, so many victims who are incarcerated. We know that this country has an unjust incarceration system when it comes to black men. Bill Cosby is not one of those individuals. For those black folks that I've talked to who are on the fence and they think that, it's been a witch hunt, I explained to them, let's just say, of the 60 women, Tiffany, who have come forward and said that Bill Cosby drugged and raped them, let's just say, for argument's sake, that 90% were lying. That still leaves 6 women who were abused. And we know that 90% weren't lying. And so this is, sadly, we have not had a real substantive conversation within the black community because Bill Cosby was America's dad, but he was definitely, for a lot of individuals, their father. He's the one that introduced them to a different world. Many people went to HBCUs because of that show. Many people were raised on Fat Albert and Little Bill, on Jell-O pudding, all the things, right? And so, the fact that he's Dr. Cosby. And so setting that up and him choosing to be an OBGYN, that was his choice of occupation for the Cosby Show, created a warped sense of trust that a lot of people in the black community have had with Bill Cosby, and this cognitive dissonance that they have in believing what the court system has shown and what he has admitted to has put us in the situation where we're still constantly trying to explain to people some of the atrocities that he committed over the course of 30, 40 years.
Right, and that's why I wanted to have this conversation. I didn't necessarily want to focus on the legal minutia, as important as that is. I wanted to have the conversation for the culture because of the reaction. It just baffled me. Jason, I want to turn to you. I want you to take a listen to his infamous pound cake speech that he gave to the NAACP in 2004. Take a listen. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
These are people going around stealing Coca-Cola. People getting shot in the back of the head over a piece of pound cake. And then we all run out and we're outraged. Oh, the cops shouldn't have shot him. What the hell was he doing with the pound cake in his hand?
I mean, so hearing that baffles me because Boosie, Snoop, all these other rappers coming out to his defense. In that speech, he also said, pull your pants up and get your act together.
I didn't realize that Coca-Cola and pound cake was a death sentence. Who knows?
Exactly.
Are we all enlightened? Look, Tiffany, this is the core of this, and I wrote about this in the Griot. We've all been having conversations about this for years.
Right.
Bill Cosby ain't our dad. Not one that any of us would be particularly happy with or respect at this particular point. And his antipathy and hostility towards black people should have had a lot of people backing away from this guy a long time ago.
Yeah.
But the problem is simply this. You have a lot of people out there that are so distrustful of the legal system that any black man that gets off for any reason, they're going to cheer about it. Yeah. I felt the same way. I mean, you may have been too young for this, but I remember OJ.
Yeah.
See,
I wasn't born then.
I know.
I wasn't alive then.
You're still in elementary school. But back during OJ, there were people cheering. And I was like, yo, this guy used to beat his wife. Why is everybody excited just because he beat the system? So that is a core of it. It is black black people's antipathy towards a legal system that makes us rally around somebody no matter how many terrible things they've done or terrible things they've done to us. And that's part of the issue here.
And OJ, too, was not down with black people until it was convenient for him to be down. Chrissy, I'll turn back to you because I think, you know, some people are a bit torn. It's hard to separate Dr. Huxtable from the accused serial rapist Bill Cosby. It's hard to separate Hillman College from the ugly things this man has done. And it's almost like he created it with intention, like you said, to sanitize him. I'm curious, should we still be watching The Cosby Show in a different world? I will confess, I will watch it forever. I think, you know, it was so important to the culture, and I can separate the art from the artist. But in all the group chats, that's what we're talking about. Like, what does this mean for his legacy in terms of HBCUs and the TV shows?
Right, and Tiffany, I'm really torn on that one. I think that The Cosby Show and A Different World, and I include Little Bill and Fat Albert, introduced a lot of black people to, you know, aspects of jazz, or, you know, for it's not my reality, but a lot of people went to HBCUs because of The Cosby Show and A Different World. I mean, it's difficult because I don't listen to R. Kelly's music, but I still watch A Different World. So I think that we're still in this tense moment when we're trying to detangle what has been done allegedly by some of these men, but also going back to a point that Jason made, this politics of respectability has been so insidious in the black community as well that we have people cheering on Bill Cosby when he says that we should be X, Y, and Z, knowing good and well that that's not what he's lived up to himself, allegedly.
Right. I mean, and look, we have to talk about Felicia Rashad's trash tweet. That was such a disappointment to me because I just loved her as a performer. And when I saw that, I was heartbroken. The interesting thing about it, she tweeted this out on her first day at Howard University as Dean of the Fine Arts Department, which cast such a dark shadow over that wonderful experience. And she basically supported him, saying that a miscarriage of justice, that he was even in jail in the first place. Howard was like, clean up on aisle 6. We need to come out and address this. Jason, you teach it at HBCU. What were your thoughts?
I mean, on the scale of bag fumbling, right? This was really bad. This was Erykah Badu, bag lady, bag fumbling, like a huge mistake. And the reaction, Tiffany, this is also what I think is important. We talk about respectably politics, but also this is very generational. Yeah. Okay, because to your current HBCU students, to my students, you know who their dad was? Dre from Blackish. Julius from Everybody Hates Chris. So they're not connected to Bill Cosby in the same way. A lot of the people who you see standing for him are in their late 30s, their 40s, or even people our parents' age. So Howard's response makes sense. Felicia Rashad's response was not only terrible, but tone deaf. Like I said, shutting up is always free. But I think the larger issue here is we have to separate these actors from who they are as individuals. I can still watch The Cosby Show. I can still watch A Different World. But I can also say that Bill Cosby very likely did horrible things that I don't respect and I don't appreciate. And our conflation of these two is the reason why people can commit heinous crimes and still be hired as NFL coaches and NBA coaches and things like that. We got to separate the work from the worker.
Yeah. I completely agree. And look, what I don't want to get lost in this conversation are the victims. Right. You know, the victims suffered tremendously. And so, you know, I know Felicia Rashad subsequently said she stands with victims, but I just want to say to those brave women who spoke up, thank you. And I want to say to women out there who might be afraid to speak up because of what happened, keep speaking up and keep telling your story until somebody listens and believes you, because you know, this is a scary time to live in where people are defending this kind of behavior. So this segment went way too fast. We could have gone on a lot longer. But thank you, Christina Greer and Jason Johnson. Don't go too far because we'll be live on the gram after the show.